There's one other method I want to add to my show class before I start unit testing. And you don't have to add a class like this, but if you have one that you want to test, I want to show you how to do the testing. So this thing right here, this is a static data access method. And for end-tier architecture, you really don't want things in the presentation layer, the interface layer, to talk directly to things in the data layer. Instead, you want to go through the logic layer to do that. And so I want to add to my show class a method that just serves to separate this code in fetch titles from this code in database. So it's just going to take requests from fetch titles, hand it off to database, and that's going to give me the separation I want for end-tier architecture, and it'll also give me the opportunity to show you some kinds of tests that you can run when you're testing that method. So I'm going to put that actually right after the constructor. And this is just a public static function called find titles on my show class, which is going to call the public static method on the database. So it's going to return database find titles and pass in minvotes title type and genre. And then all I need to do to use that over here in fetch titles is just call show : find titles instead. So let me go ahead and make sure that actually works. I'm going to go ahead and do a reload. Okay, so that took a little while this time. Going to go ahead and select comedy, and seems to be working fine. TV series, great. So now let's go ahead and start unit testing. So in order to do this, I'm going to go ahead and open show.php, and I'm going to click right on show and hit Alt plus Enter. And I get an option that pops up, create new PHP test. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to create a new file using the template PHPUnit. The name of the file by default is the class that I'm testing with the word test after it, and it's going to be showtest.php, and it's going to be in the popular shows directory. I actually want it to be inside of this PHP include so that it's in the same folder as show.php. So let me go ahead and add PHP includes. It's actually assets PHP includes. So let me, popular shows, assets, PHP includes. That's where I want it. And then I'm going to leave namespace blank. Let me make this window a little bit taller. So it can help me get started by automatically adding stubs for all of these test methods. And so I'm going to go ahead and select all of these so that it's going to auto-generate all of those. And then say OK. And I don't want to automatically add it to Git. So it created this showtest.php file. It's going to use PHPUnit framework test case. And then class is showTest extends test case. And then it's just gone ahead and created all of these test methods. And then in order to use a test method, what I can do is basically add some code to here. So how do I test the constructor for show? Well, I'm going to go ahead and make a new show object and pass it some properties. And then I'm going to check to make sure that the properties match what they should. So let's go ahead and make show is new show. And then I'm going to give it an associative array with primary title goes to my title, and start year goes to, let's go ahead and actually put a year here. Go 2020. And average rating, let's say 5.5. And num votes, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that will make a new object, and then the test part comes in. I'm going to check whether various properties match what I expect them to match. So I'm going to use assert to do that. And assert is going to be a method off of the test case class, which my class inherits from. And so I can just say this pointer assert equals, and actually I might need to do one other thing first. Assert equals, and then here's the expected value, my title, and here's the actual value, get primary title. So either that's going to work and these two things are going to match, or it's not going to work and I'm going to get a failed test. And I can run that test right now just by clicking on this little run button and saying run test under construct. And then I have to configure a few other settings that I haven't configured yet. So let me walk you through this. Most of these you can take the default, but there are a couple of things that you have to set up. So the big thing that you have to set up is this default project interpreter, and that's actually a project setting. So let me go ahead and set it up from the file menu first, settings, and if you go over to build, execution, deployment, actually you want to go language and frameworks, PHP. So right here, when you click on the PHP tab, it's got PHP language level, and I'm going to set that to be 7.4 because I'm using version 7.4 of PHP in the XAMPP that I downloaded. And then for CLI interpreter, I want to click on those dots and then navigate to my XAMPP PHP. It's actually here already, and it's PHP version 7.4.4. There's a configuration file. I have the debugger configured, so that shows up. And that's what I'm going to take for my interpreter. So now my CLI interpreter matches my PHP language level. And that should be everything for PHP. And then there's going to be one other thing I have to fix. So let's go ahead and run test under construct. So PHPUnit is not configured. So there's a library that I need in order for this to work. So I'm going to configure autoload file or path. So hit that configure. I want to add a test framework for PHPUnit local. And then path to phpunit.far, I get this link to download phpunit.far from where it is on the web. So let's go ahead and click that. And then I need to specify where I want this to go. By default, it's going to go into my project folder. And you can put it in the project folder, which may actually be what you want if you want it to be checked into your GitHub repository. Or you can put it somewhere in XAMPP. For example, you can put it in the PHP folder. And there already is, in fact, actually there should be, if I actually look at that in the Windows Explorer, if you go to PHP, you'll see it comes out of the box with a PHPUnit and PHPUnit.bat, but not the PHPUnit.far file. So you might want to put it there, but I'm actually just going to go ahead and put it in the project folder. So I'm going to take its advice and put it under popular shows. Okay. And then I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to ignore this thing about get for now. It's reindexing my project because it just added this phpunit.far. There's actually quite a bit of stuff in here that you can pretty much ignore it. Okay, and now let's go ahead and try running this again. And I got a failed assertion. Class show not found. So I need to require once show. Which is in the same folder. And then let's try running this test again. Great, and it passed. So this is what it looks like when it passed. So that's my first unit test. And actually, let's go ahead and do some more assert equals. So in addition to that, I also want to do assert equals 2020 is the expected year and should match show pointer get start year. And assert equals 5.5 is show pointer average rating, and assert equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the expected value for show num votes. Okay, so if this runs and passes all the tests, I'm going to believe my constructor works. And that one passed. So now let's do test find titles. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to make a show. And the title is going to be my title. And then I'm just going to do 0, 0.0, and 0 for the other properties, because all I need for this test is assert equals expected is my title, and the actual is show get primary title. And then I'm going to follow the same pattern for the other getters. So this one's going to be start year. I'm going to leave this be null. And this one is going to be 2020. And then 2020 is going to be the start year. And num votes. So start year. Oh, these are actually, where's my average rating? That's interesting. So for some reason, I guess it sorted these alphabetically or something. These are out of order. That bothers me, so I'm gonna actually move this up here. Should be start year, num votes, and then serialized should be at the bottom. Okay, so now they match the order that they were declared in show. Not a huge difference, but so this one's num votes, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is num votes. And then average rating is going to be 5.5. 5.5 is going to be get average rating. And then I actually messed up with primary title. So yeah, this should have been primary title. This first test that I did should have been primary title. And then this one, find titles, I haven't done yet. So I'm just going to leave this one blank for now. Let me go ahead and, so when you have the test set up, you can do three things. You can run an individual test right from this file by clicking on that little run button. And this one, actually, I got trying to access array offset on value of type null. So it didn't like null here. Let's go ahead and give it a string. Actually, I just wanted an empty string. Let's do that. Okay, and then let's try rerunning that unit test that failed. That didn't work, but let me try it here. Okay, so I have an assertion failure, illegal string, offset, primary title. Oh, yeah, let me check that. So it should say primary title here. Oh, these are supposed to be arrays. Okay. Yeah. All right. I forgot I was passing it an associative array. So it should be primary title goes to that. And start year goes to that. And average rating goes to that. And num votes goes to that. Okay, so now I have to fix all of my object constructors. So this one's 2020. And this one is 5.5. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that should be it. So let's see if I got it right that time. Yeah, worked fine. Okay, so anyways, you can run one test right from these little run buttons, or you can right click on show test.php and say run show test, and that will run all of the tests. Actually, I got a little error on that one right there because it didn't perform any assertions. So let's add an assertion so that it gets past there. we're going to assert true. True. So true is true, so that assertion passes. Now let's go ahead and run all of the tests in show test. Okay, but incomplete. Test did not perform any assertions on this one. So we'll do the same thing. So now all of our test methods are asserting something, and they all passed. So 7 out of 7 tests passed. And then you can also right-click on popular shows and hit Run Popular Shows, PHPUnit. And what that's going to do is it's going to look through your entire project, find all of the test classes and test methods, and run all of them. And I only have right now show test is all of the tests I have, but if I had multiple test classes that were testing multiple classes, that would run all of them in the project. Okay, so we have our constructor and our getters tested. Let's go ahead and unit test our JSON serialize. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and reuse my constructor up here. And then I'm going to assert equal and then my expected value is going to be this associative array whoops, we got some extra brackets in there. So this associative array should be what gets returned when I call this, actually show pointer JSON serialize. So when I take this show and I serialize it, I should get back this array. So let's go ahead and see if that works. And it does. So let's see what it looks like if it doesn't work. Test failed because the thing that serialize produced did not match the expected value. And you can click to see the difference. So here's what I expected, and here's what it actually produced. So you can actually compare them line by line and see where they differ. Okay, so let's fix it so that it works again. And we'll go ahead and run all of our unit tests. Okay. And then I also want to add unit tests for test find titles. And actually I want a couple of tests for test find titles. So test find titles is gonna test this function right here. Or actually, it's going to call this function right here in show now, which calls the matching one in database. And this is going to return an array of show objects. And then for min votes, well, let's go ahead and do 50,000 and make the title type be movie and the genre be sci-fi. And this is going to return, as I said, an array of objects. And I want to do like an assert equals something, right? So let's say expected shows. So obviously this isn't going to work because we know that this query should be returning stuff. But let's see what we get when we try running it. Okay, so we got an assertion failure. Oh, that was, so this should be find titles, valid search, and this will be find titles, no results. And then we'll run that again. Okay, so this time it failed because database was not found. I need database as well. Okay, now let's try it. Okay, so now it failed because the two arrays are not equal. So this is not equal to this thing. So let's look at the difference. Actually, let me scroll down a little bit. Right, so here's the difference. So I have an empty array, and then I have an array with a bunch of stuff in it. So let me show you how I can get the right stuff in here. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to put a breakpoint right on that line. And then I'm going to run this debug test find titles valid search. And that's going to stop at that breakpoint. Go ahead and continue. Continue. So now I've stopped at this breakpoint and I have shows. And shows is an array of show objects. And what I can do is copy value as JSON encode or var export. Let's see var export. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop open one of these. So I think this will work. Yeah, I think this will work as a constant value that I can set this to. It's kind of a mess, and I don't really want to look at it, so what I'm going to do is just look at it once, so it's an array of stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and close that, and then continue here, and let's try running this test again. So run. It failed because there's a call to undefined method show : set state. So what I really want to do is change the show : under set state to be new show. So let's do that. And then let's try this. Actually, I should save myself a little time. And then let's try it now. And I hope this works. Yay! Okay. So that was a little bit of a pain, but it would have been a whole lot worse to actually type that stuff out by hand. And then for this one, I want to write a test that sees what happens when there are no matching shows. And so to do that, I'm just going to start with exactly the same thing as here. Except this time, I'm going to set min votes up to 5 million. And I don't think there are any shows with 5 million ratings, so let's go ahead and we'll certainly find out. And then what I'm going to do is assert count to be 0 for shows. So that's going to say shows is going to be an array with nothing in it. Let's see if that works. Oh, I guess not. Oh, it should be $ this pointer. Let's try it now. Okay, and that passed. So at this point, all of my unit tests should pass. So let's go ahead and run them all. And all 8 tests pass. That should be everything that you need to complete the assignment.